What's going on, everybody out there? This is Popular Stranger. We are back at you again today for another MLB 16 The Show Diamond Dynasty episode of Risers and Fallers. We got so much to get into this week. Lots of changes were made. I hate making extremely long videos, so I'm going to try to be as quick as possible with this video. Let's jump right on into it. Again, through the console, you can go over to the roster update section and you can see all of these changes. You can also go to daddyleagues.com and you can see the changes there. They had these things up at like 7:30 a.m. this morning, so if you're away from your console, it's a great website to go to. So like I said, a lot of changes made today. We're just going to take a look at the majority of them. Diaz, I'm not going to butcher his first name because I don't know how to pronounce it. He goes up 6 points. Great player from the Cardinals, young guy. He's leading the lead in batting average, I believe, or at least he did for the first month of the season. Eldemus Diaz, I believe it's pronounced. So he goes +6. Certainly well-deserved. Kenta Maeda, I've been talking about him like crazy. They do finally give him his due. He's 3-1, 1.73 ERA, so he had a bit of a rough start in his last outing, but he still goes up 5 points. And I'm going to talk about how he had a rough start in his last outing, but he still went upward. We'll talk about that in a moment. Noah Syndergaard. We have a bunch of guys who went from gold to diamond. Syndergaard is one of them. He's been fantastic this year. He got the loss yesterday, but still pitched a really, really good game. 2-1, 2.51 ERA. So he goes up 4 points, and he is, again, gold to diamond. Dexter Fowler, Dylan Patantis. Another guy went gold to diamond, +3 from a 90 to a 93. Dexter Fowler, he goes up to an 81. Vince Velazquez, another good young player for the Phillies. The Phillies are playing really good baseball right now, guys. He's 4-1, 2.01 ERA. You know, he had that, I think, 16 strikeout, complete game shutout. So he's been really, really good for the Phillies. Drew Smyly goes up +3. Not the greatest record, but he's striking people out a lot this year. Drew Smyly is. So I think that's probably why we saw him get a boost. You see the Ks per 9 innings went up and his stamina went up. Eugenio Suarez, he was the guy that I think a lot of people expected to get an upgrade. Only +3, but he's a 78 now. He's got 4 home runs. I think he hit 3 of them extremely early on in the season. Gene Segura went up. I've been telling you guys about him. I still think at some point he's going to end up being a gold card. He's got a 324 average, 15 runs batted in, 2 home runs, had 2 in 1 game. Bryce Harper, 99 overall. We'll talk about him in a moment, but 99 overall. Shout-outs to Bryce Harper. Kevin Kiermaier. This card you could have made an absolute fortune on, and I wish I did. His silver card, when he was an 84, was selling for like 300 stubs. He's now close to 2,000 stubs, and he was very easy to obtain. I wish I saw this coming, but he gets +7 to speed, +16 to stealing, so his base running earned him an upgrade. Not even nothing what he was doing with the bat, mainly his base running. So good upgrade for him. He goes from silver to gold. Carlos Martinez is back to gold. He goes 84 to 85. Ken Giles goes down. Unfortunately, this is a card that I kind of invested in over the weekend, and it might not pan out for me. He's 0-2, 8.1 innings pitched, 6.48 ERA, so he and the Astros are really, really struggling this year. Let's talk about some other downgrades. Max Scherzer, 3-1. Not a bad record at all, but he's been struggling for what he normally does. He's been struggling. He goes down too. He's a 93 overall. He's still a diamond, but he was a 95, so just something to watch out for. Carlos Gomez, he went down again, second time this year. Shelby Miller, he's been awful, was awful yesterday against the Rockies. He goes down 3 points. Matt Harvey is no longer a diamond, guys. He's a 91 overall. Hasn't been pitching very well. 2-3, 4.76 ERA. Zack Greinke, another card that goes from diamond to gold. So 2 big-time pitchers in Harvey and Greinke go backwards. Again, we got Syndergaard and Patantis who go up. So, it works both ways. Adam Wainwright, not having the greatest year, 7.16 ERA. I think he's pitching tonight, so we'll see how he does. But he goes backwards as well. So A lot of changes here, a lot of changes, and it did affect the market in some way, and that's what we're going to do for the second half of this video. Again, if I miss something important, because I'm looking at the list on daddyleagues.com, you guys can go check it out as well. I promise you, I'm not sponsored by this site or anything, but it's extremely useful when it comes to Diamond Dynasty. But another name that I left out was Steven Strasburg. He goes up 5 points from an 87 to a 92. So we're going to take a look at the marketplace in some of these guys. One thing I want to point out, in case you didn't notice, in this whole captains thing, which is a really cool feature this year, they change reward cards every week, and it just so happens that the David Ortiz card rewards you a Noah Syndergaard. So you can see I'm only 9 ranks away from this. You got to be a level 30, and then you got to have 1,250 tickets. I got just short of 1,000, so I got 5 days and 12 hours as of right now to get myself a Noah Syndergaard. That's a really, really good deal. I'm happy I didn't cash these tickets in on some other player, and I'm happy that I've been leveling up David Ortiz. He seemed to have had the best rewards over the last couple of weeks, so that's why I stuck with him. But I could potentially get myself a diamond pitcher without spending any coin. Now, I won't be able to sell him, but it still will be a nice pickup. And then Steven Strasburg, who we just mentioned, got an upgrade. He is also available here for the Eric Hosmer captain. The rest of the guys aren't really good. I think Chris Bryant's in there, Jarrett Cole, who's been in there before, Trevor Rosenthal, who's been in there before, and Ian Kinsler, which that one's just absolutely whack. So let's quickly take a look at the market. I think I've made some really good conclusions this year, guys, off of this big update. This is the biggest one of the year. Pay attention to this. I know you guys are going to hit me up in the comments, and I definitely encourage you to do it. Let me know what cards you think should be getting upgrades. There's guys out there that should have, but I think that they are a week behind, guys, because Bryce Harper last week wasn't that great. I'm not saying he's bad and he doesn't deserve a 99. He's probably the best player in baseball behind possibly Mike Trout. But he had a monster week 2 weeks ago, and so if you think, you know, he had a bad week last week, a monster week the week before, but he's getting an upgrade this week, it just always seems like they're a week behind. Dylan Patantis and Andrew Miller, both relievers for the Yankees, both got upgrades this week. Both guys who were really, really good had some great moments 2 weeks ago. I don't really know what they did last week, not saying they did bad, but it just kind of shows you that I think these updates are a week behind. Same thing with Greinke, and Drew Smyly had some really good outings 2 weeks ago that was leading the league in strikeouts over a couple weeks span. These are guys that upgrades this week, so if you think there's players out there that should have gotten upgrades, they still might. It still might be next week. So there's Bryce Harper. We mentioned him, a 99 overall. Scherzer in there as well. He's still a diamond, just hanging on there. We're going to go to the Yankees. If you had a Batantis card, boy, you're going to be able to make some stubs. I would definitely sell him. I mean, he was about 8K. He's doubled in price now because he's gone up. Really, really good card, though. I've used him in Battle Royale a couple times. Man, when they get a Aroldis Chapman back with these three in the bullpen, if they can get to a game in late innings with a lead, these three guys will shut shit down. But Yankees are struggling, so that'll be interesting. I mentioned Kevin Kiermaier. Let's take a look at him. Look how much he's selling for. You could have got this card for extremely cheap prices just this past weekend, just a week ago. And I think another thing that I've kind of noticed, guys, is that the biggest profit that's going to be made this year is cards that are like 84 and 83 overall going to an 85 or an 86. It doesn't take much for them to jump up that high playing wise. And again, it's not a huge increase in the amount that it's going for, but when you're talking a 2,000 stub profit in this year's game with this BS 10% tax, I really, 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 really think that that's going to be the best way to make stubs. Because if you look at guys, and I forgot to mention my other guy from the Cardinals. I know there's a few Cardinals fans that have been hitting me up in the comment section every single week. So we got to mention these two guys, and I apologize. Where are they? Eldmis Diaz. I'm sure I just butchered his name again. He goes up a ton of points. He's got 81 with the inside edge boost today, by the way. Very, very cheap card to get. Him and Jeremy Hazelbaker, two young guys for the Cardinals, doing a lot of run producing, getting on base a lot. They both got really substantial upgrades. I mean, Diaz went like +6. I believe Hazelbaker went +5. Guys like Vince Velazquez, who went +3. Their price isn't moving a ton. I mean, I got a bunch of Hazelbakers over the weekend for 40 stubs. They're only selling for 88 stubs now, so unless you really think these guys are going to take a leap and go from bronze all the way to gold, I don't think there's much profit to be made in these guys who are just going from not so good bronze to kind of good bronze. I just don't, there's not a big profit margin in there. But guys who are going from silver to gold, that's where we're going to make some stubs this year. So Gene Segura is a guy, I mentioned him earlier in the video, I'm going to mention him again. I think he's going to be a gold eventually. Go get him now while he's cheap. And if there's any other guys that you think fall in that kind of category, please hit us up in the comments section. The video has gone on too long. I hope I answered any questions you may have had. Hit me up in the comments section on Twitter. I'm out. Peace.